Independent Public Radio, Pioneer 90.1. Good afternoon, just after 3 o'clock. Time for Northland Spotlight for Monday, and a special guest joins me. Who the heck are you? What is your name?
I am John Chappell. I am the new accounting instructor here at Northland.
And welcome to Pioneer 90.1, John.
Thank you.
How about some background? Where are you from?
So I'm originally just from southwest of here, I guess you could say, San Diego, California.
Just down the road a bit. Yeah.
Just down the road.
Over
yep.
a few mountains and a couple deserts and all that good stuff.
Yeah, the deserts are bigger than you can imagine.
So you're a San Diego native?
San Diego native, born and raised.
I was watching the Charger-Baltimore Raven game yesterday with the sun in San Diego and the green grass. Oh.
Yes, the San Diego Chargers fall into the category of things that I am blocking out right now.
So, give us some background as to how you got to northern Minnesota. Where did you go to school?
I went to school, again, just southwest of here, right on the coast, University of California, Santa Barbara.
All right.
Which Santa Barbara, if you've ever been there, just an incredible, beautiful place. The school is situated, I cannot emphasize this enough, right on the cliff overlooking the ocean.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Isn't the QE2 a dry dock there in Santa Barbara, I think? No? Maybe I'm wrong. I was out there a long time ago.
That's above my pay grade. No, it's down in Long Beach.
Long Beach,
yes,
you're right.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So you go to school there, then what?
Go to school there and graduated with my accounting degree or business economics degree, accounting emphasis, and had no job and wound up working as an electrician's apprentice.
Where was that?
That was
I'm nosy.
In Northern California, up in Santa Rosa, about an hour north of the Bay Area.
Okay.
So did that, did a little electrical work to pay the bills, got my first job in accounting. Was in a little town called Petaluma, California. Again, just about an hour north of the Bay Area.
Okay.
And started out in accounting, worked there for about a year. And then for various reasons, I moved to the East Coast.
Wow.
For about 4 years, moved to Western Massachusetts.
Well, we're talking coast to coast here.
Coast to coast.
Wow.
Coast to coast.
Coast guy.
Yeah, I'm always a bit of an itinerant wanderer, if you will. And so I moved out there and worked for a regional accounting firm for a couple years. And then I graduated to the accounting big leagues, if you will. And took a job with PricewaterhouseCoopers, which was one of the big four accounting firms.
Yeah, I've heard of them, yeah.
And I was able to I stomached that for about a year, which is slightly below the average, but for me was actually quite impressive.
All right. And then what?
So I did that, and after a terrible, awful, grueling tax season, I swore off accounting for the rest of my life. I would never, ever do that again. And having nothing to do and needing a new playground, I actually moved back to San Diego to experience that as a grown-up adult. And I got a job with a company called Robert Half that does kind of headhunting, corporate recruiting, things like that. So there was a sales component to it, so I got to flex my sales muscles.
Sure.
Learn some of those odd kind of interpersonal skills, how to read people and sell them things. So I did that again for about 2 years until that became too much to bear.
Now I'm nervous, John.
What are you being sold right now?
So you're back in California, the Golden State. Then
back
what?
in California,
All right.
and left Robert Half and got into the magical world of consulting, which is kind of that's the business person's dream, is to do some vague thing that nobody really knows what you do, but you can charge a lot of money for. So I did that and got into internal controls and Sarbanes-Oxley and some kind of other various esoteric accounting things that I can tell you're already starting to doze off, so I won't get into detail.
That's okay. That's all right. A little drifting, not bad, though.
So then while I was back in California, I met a girl who was going to graduate school out there, and
there's the big factor.
This is the slow segue.
Okay.
And she was finishing up her PhD at the University of California, San Diego. And as she got done, she started looking for a job. And lo and behold, the best, greatest offer came from the University of North Dakota.
How about that?
How about that?
Wow.
So we wound up moving back here. I've been here for 4 years now. For my first 3 years, I continued consulting, so flying back and forth to California, working remotely using the magic of the interwebs and the computer, and et cetera, which was fantastic, but the travel kind of starts to wear on you after a while.
Yeah.
So
and you missed the snow, so, you know.
Well, the other problem was my busy season was May through November, which is also known informally as the good months to be outside in North Dakota.
Yeah, there are those months. Sure, okay.
So I would spend those months back in California and come back as soon as it started snowing again, which was terrible timing.
All right.
So one day, reading the Grand Forks Herald, the missus saw a classified ad posting for an accounting instructor at Northland Community and Technical College.
How about that?
And I decided on a lark, wouldn't it be hilarious to put my application in, thinking that I would get the nice, polite letter in the mail that I'm used to that says, "Thank you, we appreciate your interest, but you
take a hike."
Yeah, take a hike. And again, I have no idea how this happened, but I got called in for an interview, and it was
How about that?
explicitly clear about my teaching experience, which was not a whole lot.
Yeah, but you have the experience. That's the key. You have that practical knowledge.
Real-world experience?
And this is your first semester?
Yes.
It is.
We're trying to keep that on the down low so that all the various students don't say, "Oh, there's this rookie teacher out here. We can totally pull the wool over his eyes."
Not going to happen, is it?
No.
No.
I think I've kind of kept the lid on it thus far,
yeah,
and by the time they realize it, hopefully it'll be next semester, and
Yeah. Well, one thing about this school, one of many things that I find so unique among schools in the area, of course, this is a 2-year school, and so you have that practical application of classroom work into the real world. And you have that experience.
Yes.
So when you speak, when you educate, you know what you're talking about. You have that knowledge.
Theoretically, you are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But yes, and that is good because a lot of classroom learning just has this kind of rote memorization or what the heck am I going to do with this? And so to be able to take the I learned this and this is how I applied it out in the real world, and maybe you will too.
Yes.
Does get their attention.
All right, for the first semester, if I can ask these questions now as a first-time instructor at Northland, what are some things that you kind of knew were coming and other things you were surprised to encounter as an instructor?
Being that I'm teaching business law right now, I think I will invoke my right to self-incrimination and plead the. It's the human element has been on the one hand a lot of the issues because everybody has things that are going on in their life, but on the other hand has been one of the most invigorating. Impressive things is all these students have so many things going on in their life. They've got family, they've got sick relatives. Most, if not all of them, are working full time, and yet they still come in and they study their backsides off, and that's very impressive to me.
And they have that persistence because, again, the economy's not been that great the last 3 or 4 years, and yet they're going into a situation that maybe they're not sure if they'll have a job after they graduate, but having the education, the background, and all those important factors give them that edge as they go out. So as an educator, as someone who instructs now on a daily basis, is this something you like now? Is this you've discovered a hidden treasure, a skill?
Yeah, I had always kind of, maybe not toyed around with it, but thought about the idea. At the very least, have some energy and some enthusiasm and maybe a little sense of humor, which I think when you're teaching accounting, you better... Don't laugh so hard.
You have to have that, yeah.
Because you may have heard this, but accounting can be a bit of a dry subject if you don't jazz it up a little bit.
I have heard that.
So throwing in some jokes and some real-world experience and just not taking it super seriously.
Yeah. John and I were talking off the air for at least a half an hour. I did most of the talking, by the way, and we do both have a very dry sense of humor. So if you would, John, give us the official classes that you teach at Northland. What are they called?
All right. So we are teaching the legal environment of business, which, again, is just kind of a broad overview for people who aren't necessarily specifically in accounting, but who are in maybe marketing or administrative or accounting. Give them a broad scope of the legal things that they're going to encounter, not only in the business world, but also in their personal life as well.
Yeah.
And then we're also teaching a payroll class, which, again, is good for people who are in accounting, but also for people who are maybe working in a small office and are wearing a bunch of different hats. So all the various accounting and legal things behind producing payroll on a regular basis.
Okay. Multiple skill sets, very important.
Multiple skill sets
Yes.
are very important.
Yeah, getting that job.
And business math, which again is a math class, but we try and jazz it up and make it fun. And these are also things that you're going to encounter in the business world, but also things that are practical to managing your own finances
There you
and learning how a mortgage works and things like that. And then the little bit more hardcore accounting things, cost accounting.
Ooh, my favorite.
Yeah, it's hard to say
Yeah.
cost accounting without actually shuddering a little bit inside. Again, that's important. You're in a big manufacturing area where knowing what things cost and how to price them appropriately is really important.
Mhm.
So again, that's probably the most hardcore accounting class, which is still fun. And then a computerized accounting class where they're learning the Peachtree system and learning how to apply that and maneuver around. And again, that's kind of a small business software.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. Well, that's great. What I hear, John, is a holistic approach here, a well-rounded approach to being able to handle life in general. You know, whether it be at work, at home, wherever. You know, it's nice to have those tools, isn't it?
You know, it really is. And there's a certain amount of technical knowledge that you need to go out there and be an accountant or
Sure.
be whatever. But there's also a lot of these personal finance and money-related issues. How to, nobody balances their checkbook anymore, but
Yeah.
knowing how much money you have in the bank is important. And when you go and sign up for a car loan or a mortgage or something like that, understanding what the heck it is that you're signing,
Yeah.
that's a good skill to have.
It's a good thing. John, thank you so much for sharing your time and thoughts.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And again, our very special guest for Northland Spotlight on this Monday, November 26th, John Chappell. Northland Spotlight on Pioneer 90.1 FM.